Welcome to the Bear's Lair, where we're diving in and covering the top 10 books that we suggest for new readers that comes over with it. We're with Panelbound Comics. If you go over to their site, you'll end up seeing this list that we end up having. This is a great breakdown of why we ended up putting the books in that list. You go over to Panelbound Comics, use discount code a fifth of Jack, save $2 off. Or if you have 4 or more books, put the code Jacket together to save 5% off your entire order instead. Orders of $30 or more ends up getting free media mail shipping. That way you end up getting the books that you're looking for, edition that you want, right on your doorstep. All right, without further ado, these books are not ranked. We don't have a ranking system that comes over with it. And I'm going across the board. So it's not going to be just this type. It's not going to be that type. We're going across the board that we're going to end up going. So I want to start off right off the get-go with Murder Falcon. That's right, I'm having you get hit with the emotional train of Murder Falcon by Dan Warren Johnson. Solid book, amazing story, and honestly, you can't get anything better when it comes to striking those emotional chords of yourself. Definitely something solid to be able to pick up. Next up will be The Ultimate Spider-Man, Volume 1. Why is that? Well, that starts off right off the get-go of a Spider-Man that's a more modernized without having the decades of history. I know it's a little older run, but it's from the 2000s era, and it's a solid way to be able to jump in without having to worry about that history. Plus, you have only 5 omnibuses that you can end up going. You have Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, and then you have Volume 5, or you can have The Death of the Spider-Man. Kind of decides of what kind of books you want to end up collecting with that. Then we'll jump on over to Radiant Black. Yes, that's right. That's right. The Radiant Black. They have this nice massive edition that you can end up going to. It's about the size of an omnibus. A little bit bigger. I have to say that's a nice solid book that you can end up picking up. And that ends up giving your, well, I like to say Power Rangers 2.0, solid start. It's a part of a new world that you can end up having. And if you do end up liking it, there's always a second edition or a Volume 2 to that's already out. So you can end up picking that up. After that, I went with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Compendium Edition. So I know we have this as the book and everything. But when I said Compendium Edition, I was talking about the IDW editions. But here's the thing, that Compendium isn't out yet. It should be coming out pretty soon. And that Compendium has the first 50 issues of the IDW series. It's a great way to get into it at a very good economy price. However, there's a bunch of different ways that you could go with it. You could go with the deluxe edition like I have. And if you do, there's 18 different volumes of this that you can end up picking up. There's also a softcover edition of this that you can end up picking it up at. But I heavily would suggest the Compendium edition because that ends up having a great price for the 50 issues that you have. However, this is also a solid book because it has some craziness and it has the closest thing to the transfer of the classic cartoon that you end up having. And when I say classic, I'm talking about the first iteration, the 90s version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It has a little quirkiness that you can end up picking up, and it's definitely a nice little grab that you can end up going with. I will go with The Batman by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, the omnibus. Yeah, that's right. We have that right here. Solid pickup, a good introduction to Batman. Get the classic stories of Long Halloween and Dark Victory, along with others. And it's a great introduction to Batman himself. Yes, I know there could be other books, but this I feel like is a good strong point that you can end up jumping into with Batman without having a whole bunch of knowledge of. Go from an established universe with Batman, we're going to dive right on over into Geiger. That's right, a Ghost Machine. This is the first book of Ghost Machine. This is a deluxe copy, and this is a direct market cover that I ended up picking up, but it's a very bang for the buck. The cover price for this book is $35. But watch, we'll compare this to the omnibus, and it's a bigger book. that you end up getting for that crazy price. So it's a solid deal that you can end up picking up. If you're liking the Ghost Machine universe, that's right, this is an entire universe that you can go over to. You can pick up Volume 2, Junkyard Joe, Rook Exodus, and Redcoat. All of those have a deluxes that you can end up picking up. And I figured I went with Geiger because that's the first one in the series to be able to get that going over with that. If you look over into Redcoat, they have a nice little breakdown of the storyline. I'll slap that right here because I think I found a spot that ended up having that. And my personal favorite out of the Ghost Machine would be Rook Exodus, but that's because I love the little animals. Going from the biggest book, we're going to go over to Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Why do we end up selecting this? Well, first off, it had a movie that just came out. I haven't seen the movie. I haven't been able to compare it, but it had a movie. But here's the thing. It has an amazing story that goes along with it. And I would strongly suggest picking up this deluxe because you want to be seeing the art that comes out of this thing. It's amazing art, amazing story, character growing and having a conscience going from a party girl all the way over to a person giving the lessons. That's something you guys see along the way with Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Now you're a Transformers fan. You need a good spot to dive into. You know where that spot's at? Well, that's going to be Transformers, the Deluxe, Volume 1. Why is that? Because this is a great jumping on point if you're a fan of Transformers to be able to get into the start of the entire series. So it's also important to say you can pick up Volume 2 once you end up loving Volume 1 and now have the complete run from Daniel Warren Johnson that you end up having. You're going to have a fun time. You're going to see shades of it from Murder Falcon where you end up seeing a bunch of dynamic positionings. In that second volume, it does switch to artist where Daniel Warren Johnson isn't on the art anymore. He's on the story. But either way, it doesn't end up losing a step. A nice solid way to be able to get into that as well. Now, the 9th book that I ended up suggesting was Invincible. Well, it has its show. That's over on Amazon. Everyone's loving it. However, there is going to be differences between the book and the show. But what we end up picking up is Invincible has multiple different ways that you could collect it. You have the library edition. You have the omnibus. You have the ultimate editions. You have the compendium of the hard and soft covers. You have a wide range that you can end up collecting Invincible, and it's a great way that comes over with it. I believe I see the hardcovers right now, currently, over on sale over at PBC, that you can end up getting at a nice little deal as well. It's buy two, get one free currently as of June that we're ended up going over with it. The last book that I suggested, I saved this to the very last because this is the adult / fantasy that comes over with it. It's a solid book to be able to get into. It's a solid series that could end up leading out to it. And PBC has a good deal going on for it right now with the deluxe copies. But here's the thing. The deluxe copies are nice. I ended up picking up the Volume 4. Why is that? Because that isn't what's going to be covered with the compendium. The compendium ends up covering 1 through 54 issues of Saga. Now, Saga is more adult-oriented because it has adult activities, I should say, inside the book. And it has adult, mature content that's going to be inside this as well. So, with that being said, it's definitely something to be reading and enjoying. And it's also one of those, another complete book series that's going to end up coming over with it. It's not completely made yet, but we know a defined thing is going to stop at 144 issues, just like Invincible did. Fiona Staples ends up making some solid art, and you end up having Brian K. Vaughan writing the story that's making it amazing. A nice solid pickup to be able to add to any adult's collection. So I want to add a nice little bonus cheat step, I'm going to call it, and that is going to be New Frontier. It's another good entry to the DC universe where you can end up picking it up either as an absolute, a deluxe, or either way with that. Solid book, solid stories, ends up having great introduction points to be able to have you be introduced to different characters. And honestly, my big favorite one is Martian Manhunter, and you end up seeing him that's inside that. Nice solid pickup, nice solid grab, and a nice move to put in the little cheat step. But that's the list. That's the top 10 with a little cherry on top. So if either of those books interest you, again, go over to panelboundcomics.com. Use the discount of Jack if you're getting one book. If you're getting 4 books, use the code JACKITTOGETHER. Save 5% off your entire order instead. And as always, thank you for watching. And until next time, we'll see you later.